How you doing, family? Welcome to another BANTU-Morpheus video. Today I'm going to continue to follow up on the book, One Truth, One Law, I Am and I Create by Erin Werley. So I'm following up on this book. I'm going to start sharing with you right away because what I wanted to explain to you in a little more depth than what I've done in the past. I feel that I've given it a little short shrift. I haven't given it the full explanation that I have been compelled to share with you based on my own analysis and my own intuitive interpretation of a lot of the things that I've seen, that I've read in this book. And it actually confirmed many things that I've said in my book long before I read this book, and triggered a deeper analysis and some realizations that I feel need to be expressed and put out into the ethos amongst the human race, in order that we can help to move us all spiritually to that higher level. And until we clean up a lot of the garbage that the religions have infected the human race with, in their honest attempt to try to, I believe that it's an honest attempt by the vast majority of the religions to try to help humans control their flesh. And they've done a lot of the tactics and a lot of the techniques that they're continuing to push have moved beyond the level of just an honest mistake, and now have moved into intentional misdeception or miseducation and misdirection. Let me say it that way. And now they're beginning to hurt the forward progress of the human race. So to clear that up, I'm doing this video. I hope to keep it short, but I want to make sure I get all the points in. It's very vital, because I'm going to repeat a lot of the revelations and the aha moments that I've experienced after that this book triggered. It's a phenomenal book. And what I love about the book is that they don't couch anything from a religious perspective. They're purely speaking from a spiritual perspective. And that's very important, very important. So I'm going to start sharing, but before I do, I want to say this. The goal is to bring out of you, or help others to realize and awaken to the true beings that we are, and to peel away more of the old ways that we were trained to think about ourselves, and as it relates to the macro being, or Amma, that I call, most Europeans call God. I call Amma as an African. This is very important, because once you identify, or first you got to correctly understand what you are and why you exist. And when you have that understanding, which this book does a phenomenal job of actually helping to inspire and stimulate this realization within anybody that is reasonable and follows first principle, which is to break things down to their bare bone, simple, basic, apply logic and common sense, and then build up and identify, re-identify, refocus yourself from that point up. And when you do that, you're going to be what I call a self-aware and a self-actualized person. Being self-aware is one thing, but to being self-actualized is a totally different thing. When you first hear about something, now you're aware. If you accept it and you begin to identify from that new perspective, now you're just on the surface. You just scratch the surface and you're now aware. Aha, oh wow, I've been living a lie. I've been pretending to be what I was told I was. But in actuality, I never was these things. I never was this thing. So now that I realize what I am, you're like a baby who was just born and you're just aware. And as you gain more and more validation of what you've become aware of, now you can be more active and actualized. You can now function out of this new identity and new awareness and rise above the former level, which is very restricted and infantile and on a neophyte level. Now you're going to be actually going to start to be actualized and be self-actualized, where you no longer identify with making judgments from the perspective of a sinner, as the religions teach, and a helpless, stumbling, bumbling tool of some entity outside of you that you have no control of, and the entity decides everything and does everything for you. And that is the 100-degree polar opposite from what we actually are. And the reason I believe that this psychopathic con job has been perpetuated for the last 2,000 years or more is because there are people who are by design, dedicated to lying to the vast majority of people on the earth and misdirecting them in a direction that will allow you to be used. You be a puppet and be a fool and just a tool and a bunch of sheeps to be guided around and walk off cliffs on command and attack people on command. And in other words, these demons, I call them demons because not in the sense that what we've thought about it. I mean, because their job is to be the backstop or create structure that we have to push away and expand in spite of. See, and you won't know you need to expand if you don't have something to expand away from. Okay, so you need this. They function. They have a function. So, but I will label them demon, and a lot of you will have that old mentality of demon, and I use that term just for lack of any other term, but I think it gets right to the point and lets you know why you need to really ignore these people and move away from them. And when you hear their dogma and their indoctrination statements, you can counteract that, especially when it's being said around children who don't know no better. The whole goal of my everything that I do is about saving children who don't know any better and who will grow up to be weak, helpless puppets to these demons, okay? And who these demons are doesn't matter. What matters is that the people who will repeat what these demons initiate, who are usually high-ranking priests, preachers, some religious leader, or even some political leader, or some social leader, these people who really are repeating the lie that they were trained to repeat like parrots. And if you challenge these lies, they're going to be very upset about this, because they really have never thought beyond the lie. And they have bought into the lie because it's easy to do. It's easier just to accept a lie. And because the nature of this con job makes you a social and political junkie, hooked on the benefits and the preferential treatment and the special privileges that come along with being a follower, a believer, as they call themselves. And if you go along with the indoctrination, then based on your skin color, you will have a certain status in the whole world. Because this virus has infected the entire human race on Earth. And they will never admit it. But if you were an African like I am, you will know it, and nobody has to convince you of it. You know it based on, in my case, 60 years of living. Okay. And the way I've been treated still to this day, it happens all the time. Okay. So speaking of 60 years, a thought came to me, universe brought this thought to me, that because I have lived 60 years in this human form, and for the last 45 years of those 65 years, I should say, I have been taught to, I have been awakened. I've become self-aware 45 years ago, and I've been self-actualized, I would say realistically, for the last 15 years, okay? Prior to that, I was always validating. I've read tons of books, but this one book here, I am, or I should say, one truth, one law, I am, I create. The I am that she's talking about in this book refers to the macro being, but it actually is you. It's me, as representatives of the macro being, and we are micro beings, okay? But going back to the bringing up of my 65 years, I bring that up because as a self-actualized person that is using logic that requires facts and validation for me to believe anything at this point. I don't believe anything that I don't have facts or validation to prove, okay? Other than my own personal or spiritual, metaphysical experiences that I've had. Those things I believe, okay? Now, a lot of the crap that is in their Bible is outright lies. And even a lot of the African spiritual cultures and all these things and these statements that they make are outright lies. And some of the things may have been a personal experience to some individual, but they have no basis in fact, and they don't repeat, and any and everybody can't do what they do, so therefore it's not real. And I get that concept from Amma itself, based on what I've read in this book. And Amma has already intuitively told me this because I've had these doubts about a lot of the things people have been saying, attributing things that we have done ourselves to ancestors, that you can't prove none of that. There's no proof of that. So I don't believe it. I don't believe it. That's just me. Y'all do what you want to do. But the reason why I do this, I want to, as a self-actualized person, I want to be totally in charge because I am totally responsible. Now, the things I do in honor of others who have tried to do what I'm trying to do, and they have handed me a baton, yes, I acknowledge Sojourner's Truth. I acknowledge Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, the brother from the Black Panther, the brother they murdered, Fred Hampton, and the other brother from the Black Panther who died. And I acknowledge all these because they were alive in my time. I got evidence. I know, and I've heard their words myself. I know they meant what they said, and they said what they meant for myself, my personal knowledge. And so I honor them. I honor Frederick Douglass. I honor you name it, Fannie Lou Hamer, for her political work and the suffering that she went through. I honor all of these people in my time who has happened in my lifetime while they were still alive. I honor these people because I know they existed. And I heard their words for myself, videos of them saying certain things. So I trust and I believe because of what I've seen for myself. Rumors, they can change just passing from between three people. A rumor can change. A rumor can change. Passing between three people, a rumor can change. Okay, so you can't go by hearsay. Very much. It's the best source is for you to read it for yourself, and you got to read it from a reliable source, somebody you can trust. Okay, you know you have to have people that you can trust. Okay, I'm having a little trouble here figuring out this. Okay. Why this thing crashed on me? Okay. So yeah. So you have to develop your own system that you can rely on, that you can trust, and that they help you to formulate your own beliefs, because your beliefs are everything. Your belief is everything, because your thoughts are everything. But the thoughts that really matter are the thoughts that you believe. Okay. And I bring that up because, again, in my 65 years of living, I've never saw any evidence that any outside source, some God up in the sky, some Jesus dude is doing anything for me, has done anything for me. Everything that I've gotten in my life, I've gotten it because I've done it on my own, with the help of the two most important people in my life, my mother and my grandmother. They have had my back to the wall. And those are the two people I believe in. Nobody else do I believe in other than my babas, who are my guides, who have given me insight and wisdom and pointed me in directions and given me that insight and wisdom and told me to validate it for myself. And I have done that by cross-analyzing what they've told me with other people that don't know them and have come to the same conclusions. And that data and those facts and that analysis I have used to expand my beliefs, which become tools that I will use repeatedly in order to help move myself forward, both socially, economically, and spiritually. Okay? So as a self-actualized person, you begin to only work with what you know. Okay? And what you know and you understand, that's what formulates your wisdom. Okay? And that's what I go by. And this is the beautiful thing, folks. Once you take these steps and you accept what you are and you accept how this system works and you develop your own enough validation so that you can see that what you are using works based on your own experience and from what you may have heard first, and then you try it yourself and you see that it works. And those things are solid as rocks. Like for me, my diet, my exercise routine, my decisions on who I'm going to allow into my environment and in my world. I've done these things on purpose. And that's when you become a self-actualized person, you now start building a camp, which is your environment. You put things in and you take things out. Things that you try things, if they work, you keep them. If they don't work, you cast them out. And that includes people. People who are of a like mind and they're feeding you and they're positive and constructive. They're about something, about trying to be better and doing something positive, both for themselves and or to help someone else who are less capable than they are. That's your charity work, and that's your work as a personal being. You know, you know that as a person, there are certain people that need your help, both financially and physically and socially. And you know what your purpose is, and you're working your purpose. Okay, then yourself. That's what a self-actualized person does. See, everything I do is planned. Not every single thing, but for the most part. My exercise routine, and they can change. I go with the flow, because if the winds change and circumstances change and little things happen, then I make adjustments. I'm not rigid. I'm very fluid, and I'm going to get the biggest bang for the buck. And anything that doesn't go exactly like I want, I did the best I could at the time, and that makes me perfect, because I'm never comparing to anybody else. Another thing about being self-actualized, you don't compare. You're not in competition. Compare is right. That's the first part of competition. And competition is a misnomer. It's an erroneous exercise that gets you nothing. The only entity you're supposed to be competing with is yourself. And that is the last thing you did. You want to compete to try to do that better. So you're not really competing with yourself. You're self-learning. You're self-educating. That doesn't make you a selfish person. It just means you draw your identity from yourself, and so others don't have any power over you, because you're a self-propelled person. That's what being self-actualized is all about. That's the point I want to make, and that's one of the major points I want to make in this video, is to understand what it is to be self-actualized. It's not about being selfish. It's about being self-directed, self-confident, your happiness and your joy is guided and controlled by you, not by anybody outside of you. That don't mean you don't reach out and attempt to interact with other persons and beings with humans in it. That doesn't mean you don't do that. You do all of that, okay? But you're still always couched, as Eckhart talks about, in the now, and you're always identified with your intuitive, intelligent being side, not the human. And the reason as I've said in my past movies, because the intuitive, intelligent being is forever. It never dies. That's what you are. That's what I am. That's what we are. We can never die. It just not possible. Death is not something that is designed for the spiritual being. It is something that was created by the human. Okay. And that's why I'm going to start sharing here. I'm going to pick it up there, and let's take you back into. So I want to talk with you about this book here. Erin Werley does a really good job of kind of telling a metaphorical story from her perspective. These are things that she has intuited, and as you know, her spirit, the spiritual being that is within her human form has bonded. Her person has bonded with her spiritual being, and she's becoming more self-actualized. Her spiritual being is basically supposedly talking through her, and based on what I'm hearing, she sounds like she's really on point. Okay, I'm going to back up a little bit, and I want to talk about the greatest crime of the past 2,000 years, and that is the lying on Amma, and the lying on the prophet Jesus Christ, and the lying on a lot of these other prophets that have come that are in their Bible, and which is a matrix of so many lies. If you try to decipher them, you'll lose your entire life cycle and never ever get done what you really needed to get done here. And that's why my job is just merely to point out the fact that these lies are so distracting and it's destructive. And I just want to briefly touch on it here and explain why you have to totally throw the whole Bible out. Don't even waste your time. Get you Kaba Khomeini's book, Spirituality Before Religion, and that'll bog your mind down pretty good. The books like this, they'll simplify a lot of things, and it helps you to move from where we are today forward. Professor Kaba's book is going to take you back to the past so you can clean up a lot of the garbage that the religions have infected the world with. Okay? Especially the European religion of Christianity is one of the worst ones, the most pervasive, and has infected the entire planet and bogged people down, bogged their minds down in things that is just unbelievable. And the first and the most major crime is the lying on Amma itself that their Bible does. Right here. The main thing they do is they anthropomorphize Amma. They call it God. It's not he. See? The first crime that they do is they call God a he. Now that's the first anthropomorphic lie. You cannot humanize God, Amma. You can't do that. That's why even in their Bible it tells, these are the matrix of lies and contradictions that even in their own Bible, it tells you, don't make no engraven image and call it me. So the moment you say he, that's a verbal engraven image because you're going to be wrong. God is not a he. God is an it. Pronoun, that's the best you can do. Because God is everything at the same time, so you can't call it a he. That's more mind control psychobabble that their Bible promotes on purpose, intentionally. Okay, so what is anthropomorphizing or anthropomorphic? What does it mean? To be anthropomorphic, all right, means to ascribe human, okay, form or attributes. It's not about they ascribe human form by drawing images of Amma as a man. Okay, that's how you ascribe a human form to a being. To say here the word a being. Okay, attributes. So in other words, you ascribe human form or attributes to a being or thing not human. Okay? Now, in this case, Amma is not only human. See, since Amma is not only human, you cannot just blanket attribute human characteristics to Amma, because Amma is not human. And even to Amma, based on this book, the human form and all these things, Amma knows it's not real. And Amma does not see anything as real according to this book. Now, I'm just speaking now from this book, okay? And according to this, from the perspective that this person is espousing, Amma does not see anything that is real, that is temporary. And the human form is temporary. Amma created the human form, but Amma doesn't see it as real because it's created. And anything that's created, that's temporary, that was created, that's going to die, Amma doesn't see it as real. And you just have to understand that. That's what I appreciate about what the verbiage that Erin Werley expressed here, because it helps validate more succinctly that things that I've said in my YouTube movies going back 2 or 3 years. Amma has no feelings and all these human emotions and these things. Anger, God is angry. They say Amma is angry. Or God, it was jealous that all this. It's an insult to even say things like that, both to you and about Amma. Amma don't give a damn. See? So you can't even insult Amma. So it's mostly an insult to your intelligence. In other words, they feel you so goddamn stupid, and they know that they have miseducated you to the point where they know that and the fact they even fix their mouth to say these things to you is an insult to your intelligence. When you know what I know, you'll be highly insulted. And I am. And that's why I said throw the whole damn Bible out. Because they're doing an evil thing to misdirect you and have you waste your mental energy focusing on counteracting this lie. Okay? So that's what they've done. This is the crime that has been committed. Okay? They have attributed human characteristics to an infinite being that cannot be defined. Cannot. It's the biggest sin of them all. Okay? And they do this constantly. And this is what I want you to totally forget about. As you think about Amma, the only way I want you to think about Amma is as I do. You do what you want to do. I think about, and I'm in awe of Amma's intelligence, which is myself, to create this magnificent order and structure that you see all around us, everywhere. Okay? Everything that we've been able to manifest that is only temporary, but we did it through Amma. Okay? Because we are Amma. And that's, again, the identity is we did it. Amma gave us the powers and the authority. And then we did this. We created all of this. And this is where you need to be identified with. This is where you need to be couched and grounded in the fact that we have done all of this. There's no Amma out there nowhere. They don't exist. Don't exist. Amma is everywhere. When I say it's not out there, it's not exclusively out there, because Amma is everywhere at the same time. And all of it, the most controlling part, that which has the ability, the intuitive intelligence to make a choice, to choose to create, is us. I don't know of any other animated being in existence that can choose to think a certain thing. No other inanimated beings that I know of can choose to think a thought repeatedly, to see a vision repeatedly. Because if they did, they would have created something. A beaver, a bear, dig a den, a place for them to sleep and have babies, a bear. That doesn't qualify with what I'm talking about here. Okay, I'm talking about controlling your future, your health, your wealth, your social environment, your good fortune. See, ain't no animated beings doing none of this stuff. And they certainly not building no monuments. They haven't built no buildings. There's a habitat. Yes, that's what we build out, but we work together with other human forms, and look, we build these magnificent buildings, go flying ships that fly. I don't know any other animated beings that build ships that sail on the water and fly through the air or drive down the street, complex or highly engineered, manufactured products. I don't see no fish doing that, no dolphins. I don't see no gorillas doing that. I see no other animated dogs, cats. I don't see any other animated beings, fleas, flies, even germs. I don't see them building nothing like this. So it ain't real. They don't do it. We're the only ones that do it. Now, until somebody can show me something otherwise, I'm believing that we're the only ones that can do it. And it's based on a cacophony of evidence, most of which is I don't see any evidence of any animated beings doing what we do. And we are God in human form. Okay? And another thing I want to explain. This book helps also to validate what I picked up from Kaba Kameni, Baba Kaba, who says that the macro being and the micro being that we are two sides of one coin, cannot be separated. Okay, and so the micro being is also one side of the human being coin that cannot be separated, because Amma set it all up, cannot be separated. So you have the macro being, the micro being on the other side of that coin. Then you have the micro being that has another side of its coin, which is called the human, that it has been placed within at inception. And that's two sides of a coin that cannot be separated. So you have the human, you have the micro, and you have the macro. That's your Holy Trinity. But the human form has value, and we have to value it. Now, I'm going to keep repeating this because I don't want people to misinterpret. because I call the human form a dumb brute that has a dumb instinctive intelligence running it that will can do some very brutal and horrible things. And that's what these filthy demons that are doing. They're trapped within their human form because their intuitive intelligence of the micro being didn't get caught early enough, wasn't educated early enough to tell them you have to be principled, you have to use ma'at, you have to be balanced, you have to use decency and righteousness to guide all of your decisions. And you value people over money and wealth and power and control. You value people's the freedom that Amma has given all of us. You have to value that over your own human, personal, egotistical drives and motivations. They have to take a back seat, and you have to be disciplined enough to understand that. And when you're young, this has to be put into place and awakened within you. And righteousness and balance and moral center has to be established early. You have to value life because of what it can do to raise the quality of life for all humans on the planet. So, and again, Amma has no emotions. Amma has no feelings. Those things don't exist for Amma. And this book is beautiful because it tells us that. Let's go on here. So I said here, this is the greatest crime that religions and religious leaders commit and have committed against all human beings on earth. Now, they may not have done it on I'm not saying all of them has done it on purpose. I would say 90% of them are parrots. They're merely mimicking and parroting what they were taught. Okay? And they have never questioned the lessons that they were taught. Even though I'm sure something in their essence and the hair on the back of their spine, they know it's wrong. But you know what? The benefits of it, if they're a quote unquote white person, the benefits of perpetuating this lie is so tempting, such a temptation, such an overwhelming sense of gratification that they never actually have to work. They don't have to do anything. All you have to do is show up. And the apparatus of other group thinking, others that are a part of this group think that is dedicated to making sure that certain types of people get preferential treatment over other types of people. And it's very easy to get trapped in that groupthink mentality because it's so big and so widespread. They feel, well, listen, I can't fight this. This is the game. And I'm just going to play to win. See? And that means you have to compromise your morals. You have to compromise your principles. I won't do that. I won't do that under no circumstance. Because I live in this environment here. I control every aspect in this environment right here. Anytime anybody come into my environment, they have to fall under my rules. That's how I again, when you're self-actualized, this is what we do. It's not even a question, if, ands, or buts about it. That's how I roll. And if I can't control and keep the dumb brute and the ignorance out, then I will leave the environment. I will not socialize. I will not engage. Simple as that. Because my happiness and my joy is predicated on me being able to control every aspect of my life. And I'm not going to get bogged down into cleaning up white supremacy and all of the ramifications and the megalomaniacal madness and insanity that brings along with itself. So I just stay away from those people. So now my environment is, as I pick and I choose who I'm going to allow to come into my environment. See, that's this allowing thing that we all have a choice to do. You have to decide to allow only the people in your life that's going to add to your game, okay? And your personal goals and your purpose in life, okay? So it goes on to say, because I say it's a crime and these people are demons because they know it is a total lie and they perpetuate it anyway. See, that means they're functioning out of their flesh, out of their form, out of the instinctive intelligence of the dumb, brute human form. That if you allow it to get past, say, the first 14 years or 21 years of life, and you have not trained that instinctive intelligence to comply with the intuitive intelligence's guidance and demands, then what it will wind up causing is the spiritual being will become trapped within the human form, and the instinctive intelligence will run everything, and it can be quite psychopathic. And so if your education system is based on a Christian religious foundation and concepts and indoctrination, then your whole society is going to be doomed to become a bunch of dumb brutes, and what we call in the spiritual world, the walking dead, because they're not functioning out of their true essence, which is an intuitive intelligence of the spiritual being. Then the spiritual being never dies. That's the criteria, folks. That which never dies. Even Amma, if I go by what Erin Werley is going to say here in the book, as I said in my last two movies, none of this is real because it's not infinite. It means it comes, it's going to go. Simple as that. Not you, not me, not Amma. We're permanent. We're never going to go. These rules that guide the manifested world, they're never going to change. They can be bent, they can be pushed, they can be manipulated, but they're basically forever. So to Amma, they're real. Okay? So because they know it's a total lie, intentional misdirection and miseducation of all people who they tell the lie to, by calling God a he, by saying God is angry, by saying God told them to go murder an entire race of people. See, they're lying on God. Those are crimes. Not that God gives a damn, but they're lying to you, and they're convincing you to do something immoral and indecent and inhumane. Okay? And so that's something that we as humans have to clean up. Amma's not going to do it. Amma gave you the authority to do it. That's your job. Don't put it on Amma, and don't put it on Jesus either. It's not his job. Not Amma's job, and it's not Jesus Christ's job. And that Jesus dude, he never said he was wanted to be a dad. He's just an example. If you listen to his own words, Sermon on the Mount or whatever, and you'll see, and I just take bits and pieces of that. That's all I need. I don't need the whole. Okay? It ain't me. It is he. He said he because he's a he. Even he misspoke because, listen, they've been, like I said, they've been perpetuating this lie for over 2,000 years. When they created that Bible, full of lies and misdirection, half talk, happy talk, fairy tale, nonsense, matrix. It's a matrix, folks, and you don't have time to focus on that. You got to focus on building this muscle, your own muscle of creation, to choose what you will think repeatedly with emotions and feelings so you can create what you want in your environment, in your life. And you need to be focused on that. The reason I'm doing this movie is to help you to make a paradigm shift away from thinking that there's some entity outside of you that's helping you to do everything. No, stop that. You are helping you to do the things that you have decided to do. Amma set it up so that Amma's working through us. We are the representative of Amma. So we don't need no permission to do with you. Whatever you decide to do, you just do as best you can. And if what you decide to do is right and good and righteous and whatnot, 9 out of 10, not every single time, 9 out of 10 times it's going to work. 9 out of 10 times it's going to work. And it will be good. Okay? 9 out of 10 times. And so you're free from all of the terror, the fake, doubt, fear, nonsense, which is why we are here. To experience learning. And that's why I say all of these demonic things that these people have perpetuated for the past 2,000 years is not bad in and of itself, because it helps us to have a better experience. So we don't need to wipe anybody out. We don't need to kill anybody. We just need to overcome the nonsense. And that's what's going to make you stronger. You don't need to kill. No need to do that. You sidestep, you go around them, you go over them, you go under them, but you go through them if you have to. Okay? But that's whatever you need to do, and that's going to make you stronger. Okay? So this lie is designed to keep human beings trapped in their human forms and incapable of learning to control every aspect of their lives for themselves. That's the purpose of their Bible, is to keep you bogged down in a matrix of misdirection, of fairy tales, and outright lies. And you have to understand that they were designed to make you stronger. If you can gather enough data and enough facts and enough research that will help educate yourself and free you from the madness of their Bible, okay, then you will be self-empowered, and you can forget about all of that and take all that energy you would have spent trying to plow through the matrix of lies and the these and the thous and all the lies and crap. You're wasting your time. You need to be focused on what you see yourself having now and enjoying the birds and the beautiful air we have and the structure and the organization that Amma has put into motion and worked through millions and billions of human forms to get us to this point where we are. And if you look around, you should be in awe of what we have created. Okay, what Amma has created through us, but Amma is not actively creating. Amma is empowered us to do it ourselves. We are self-empowered, self-aware, self-actualized, self-authorized by Amma to do whatever we want to. This is the paradigm shift, family, and this book gives us more validation. And the other a crime that this big lie does is it is designed to keep people from being or becoming self-actualized. Okay? It's designed to keep you from becoming self-actualized. Right here. That's what it's designed to do. Right? Okay. And when you are a self-actualized being, you become it changes now. You're no longer a human being. You're a being in a human form. And when you can understand this fundamental difference in terminology, you will know that you're self-actualized, because you will say, oh yeah, that's me. I am a intuitive being that is now dominating and totally controlling every aspect of my human form, or my person, as we used to say in spiritual culture. My person is hungry. My person is thirsty. Because as an intuitive spiritual being, we don't get thirsty. Amma doesn't get thirsty. Amma doesn't feel anything. These human forms feel and transmit it to us, so we get to experience feelings. Okay? So once you're self-actualized, then you become an intuitive spiritual being in a human form. So you will call yourself a being in human form, not a human being. See, because a human being is somebody who's run by their human. Okay? My human don't run me. I allow my human to do certain things when I feel like it, if that's what I want to allow it to do. Because if that's what it wants, then I allow it to do it. But even if it wants certain things, I'll decide, no, you ain't gonna do that right now. You do it when I decide you're gonna do it. And that's how I run this whole. See, I start within. I'm right within. I control every aspect of this bad boy right here. Sometimes, like recently, I let it have some cheese doodles, because I've been going to the gym. It's been eating right, drinking water, doing what it needs to do 90% of the time, 99% of the time, doing what it's supposed to do, sleeping well, thinking right. I don't have these random crazy thoughts like I used to have all the time. That has pretty much faded away, because now the instinctive intelligence realized it ain't got no power. And I'm telling you, this is what will happen for you too. But if you don't wake up and realize that you have to allow everything to happen that is going on in your life, and that means you're in control. If you don't wake up to that, you are going to be a puppet trapped inside your human form, and your life will be a living hell. And you're going to attract things to yourself that you do not want. And speaking of to it, let's get it on. Let's get into what Erin Werley has been talking about here. So that was very important, this last part here, that you're going to become a self-actualized human being becomes an intuitive being in a human form. That's the difference. Okay. Okay. Now, I want to talk about this part here to further validate that Amma is validating for us what is real and what is not real. Okay. And again, I'm bringing this part up because I want to really drum this home into your shift in the way you think about being as a self-actualized being. The most important thing is to function out of your human beingness. It's very important that you function out of that and stay anchored in that we are an infinite spiritual being having a human experience. And that means much more than the simple words that I'm saying. In order for you to fully comprehend what I'm saying, you have to comprehend the fact that what does it mean to be a spiritual being? A spiritual being has no emotions, has no feelings, okay? You don't experience pain. You don't experience loss. Happiness and sadness and loss don't exist for us. We're everywhere all the time. The only time we get to experience being an individual, as we use the term, or a perspective, as having the illusion of separation from Amma, the totality, is when we come into this human form. So that's why this human being combination is so important, because this is the only time we can feel things and experience things. And what I love about what Erin Werley did here in this simple 2-paragraph phrase right here, let me get my tool here, where she says here, the question was in the prior, and here Erin's husband is speaking to her infinite spirit through her, and he asked the question, if we are you and you have made us perfect, how do we create these imperfect things? Okay. And the answer that Amma says here is, you are me, and I am an unlimited creator. Okay, that makes you an unlimited creator. Okay, so you're going to hear this repeated thing, folks, that I am you and you are me. We are one. So that's that coin that I was telling you, that between Amma and the micro, that is us. That's who Amma is talking to. Amma is not talking to the human form. Amma is talking to the micro being that has this illusion of individuality that Amma created, which is a part of itself. Okay, you got to understand that when you see this phrase and this terminology here, that's what's happening here. That's what is actually going on, I believe. Okay, it says you are me, and I am an unlimited creator. That makes you an unlimited creator. Okay, so consequently, you have the entire creative power of the universe flowing through you, by use of your thoughts, your repeated thoughts, that your visualizations and thoughts that you're sending out and seeing yourself already having and already doing, whether they're good or bad. The less thoughts that you put out that you really don't want to put out, that are random in nature and reactive because of something you've seen in the environment, the fewer of those that you put out, the better your world is going to get, because now they're going to be replaced with only the thoughts that you really want and see yourself already having. Okay. But okay, that means what you call imperfections come from the doubts, the fears, and belief of lack that you created because you don't have knowing that you are God. Now that's a whole lot that was said right there, folks. And a lot that has been said there, more was not said that you need to comprehend because of what was said. Okay, it says, but what you call what you call imperfection comes from the doubts, fears, and belief of lack you've created because you don't have knowing that you are God. Okay? One of the key things I want to point out to you here is that this doubt, fear, and belief of lack, that's part of the gift that Amma has given us, because these are things that Amma cannot do. Amma cannot do these things. Amma cannot have fear. Amma cannot experience fear. Amma cannot experience doubt. Doesn't exist for Amma. And the belief of lack don't exist for Amma. And we were created to allow those things to be created. Amma gave us the authority to make these mistakes, family. We see them as negative because we have created negative. Amma don't know nothing about negative and positive. Amma don't know nothing about that. Amma is everything all the time. So Amma is incapable of distinguishing between negative and positive. And notice what it says. It says, you have the entire capability, but what you call imperfection. Check out what I'm saying, folks. What it says is, but what you call imperfection comes from the doubts, fears, and beliefs that and of lack you have created. Notice I'm gonna say I created it. I'm gonna say you did that. And what I'm not saying is I gave you the authority to make these mistakes. Okay? Because you don't have the full knowing that you are God. You are an unlimited creator. See, it said it over there and it says it over here. That makes you an unlimited creator. So it's saying you can create things that you really don't want. And that's what you're designed to do. That's what Amma's not saying here. That you are designed to create things that you don't want. Because now through us, it can experience things that it never is not capable of experiencing. See, this is part, family, of when you are couched in your infiniteness and you know you can never die. See, now you can appreciate pain and all these things because you know they're really not real. These are temporary sensations that you are experiencing in this life. And people say, well, I don't believe that. I said, well, okay, go to sleep at night. Go to sleep at night. Go have an operation. Go have an operation and let them cut your leg off or cut something off. And then when you wake up, tell the person, did you feel any of that? And if you couldn't feel any of that, that's because it's not what you are. It's never been a part of you. You were still conscious. You still existed, but you didn't feel any of that pain. How's that possible? Because the body is not you. It's something that allows you to feel these things because that's the other coin over here. You're the micro being inside of a human form a body. And that body has all these feelings and sensations and doubts and scared and fear and love and all these emotions and all that stuff. That's only right here, but it's not really you. You're experiencing it. That's why I say we are infinite spiritual beings having a human experience. These are things we are able to experience because we're connected to this human form. We are not the human form. We're connected to it. We're bonded to it. We were incarnated into it. We cannot escape it unless the human form dies. Because if we leave, the human form will die. Because we're the battery. We have all the power. We bring the power that keeps this human form alive. When you incarnate, you're turning on the lights. And that allows you to feel things and experience things that otherwise you're not capable of experience in and of yourself. You're not capable. That's why this human form was created. This is the lesson, family. You got to understand this. We're so bogged down in matrix of bullshit and lies from these damn Bibles. You're missing the most important things that are going to give you power. To understand you can never die. You can never not exist. But this human form can die. and it cannot exist. It can be mutated and what do you call it? Transformed and disintegrated. Not you, not me. And see, I function out of that knowledge of knowing what I am. See, that's what I'm trying to get you. So then you can appreciate the joy and the happiness and the emotions, all these feelings and this goodness, and you can decide to keep more of those positive feelings happening rather than the negative feelings. The deaths of people in your family is going to happen. You're going to get those sorrow feelings. You're going to get that sadness. You're going to get that sensation of missing that person's presence. You understand? But you got to understand that it's temporary. And when you move on into your next life, you're not going to remember any of this. That lets you know you're an infinite being. And you're just going to keep having new experiences because that's your purpose. You're here to have experiences. Now, you can control whether those experiences are going to be more good than bad. And you can't do that until you comprehend and you fully understand what you are and why you're here. These are your primal purposes, is to know what you are, wake up to what you are, and to realize you're here to have these human experiences. And without this human form vehicle, you can't have that. You cannot experience these things. Okay? So notice here, more validation. He asked the questions. He said, which means you can create, or I think he said over here, you are an unlimited creator, okay? It said, which means you can create for yourself what you do not want. Now that's a spinoff. That's a spinoff from his last statement here. You are an unlimited creator, okay? Which means you can create for yourself what you do not want. Okay, and that process in and of itself sounds bad, but it's not bad. See, if it were not for this human form, if it were not for Amma peeling a piece of itself off and creating us, the micro being, right, that is attached to this human form, if Amma had not done that, we would never be able to experience mistakes, pain, doubt, fear. Because as a perfect spiritual, infinite spiritual being, none of these things are possible. And Amma tells you that right here. It says right here, look at what Amma says. Amma says, it is because of your perfection, okay, that this is possible, okay? Which means you can create for yourself what you do not want. And Amma is saying it is because of your perfection that you can create things that you do not want. And what perfection is Amma talking about? You're exactly what Amma wanted us to be. And that's why I say in and of ourselves, with all of our mistake making, and not us, but the flesh, the instinctive intelligence of the flesh form. It makes these decisions and is impacting the intuitive intelligence and the decision making of the intuitive intelligence. And so you're making mistakes because remember, our memory has been wiped. So we don't know exactly how to do the things that we are organically, intuitively, we already know these things. But our memory has been wiped by Amma so that we could create for ourselves what we do not want. And that is on purpose. So we can have these experiences, family. You've got to understand this so that bad is not as bad as you think. When you look at it from this perspective, then it's not as bad as you think it is. But because once you beat back the babble and the deadness of their Bible, then you can come into the reality of what you are, and you can now focus on the true dynamics of this relationship and this interplay between perfection and imperfection. And that imperfection was designed to give you the experiences that we have. And you cannot have these experiences unless you are allowed to forget and then have the journey, experience the journey of learning. Because look here, what it says. See here, it says you can create what you do not want. It says you can now. Only word you should have put in parentheses is now create, because before you couldn't do this. As a perfect infinite being, you can't create what you do not want. It's not possible. You're perfect. And that's why it says in the next line, it is because of your perfection that this is possible. But the perfection that Amma's talking about is the perfection that it created when it created us, the micro being, and put the micro being in this finite form that is full of problems. Okay? See? And it's because of your perfection that this is possible. In other words, you're perfect. You're perfectly designed to be doing exactly what you're doing by Amma. That's why Amma says, because of your perfection. Your perfection is the perfection that Amma says that you're perfect. You're perfect relative to what Amma wanted you to be. You are exactly what Amma wanted us to be. And family, that's one of the most important things in this that I have interpreted. How could Amma say we're perfect? Perfect for who? Perfect for Amma. From Amma's perspective, we're perfect. Because we're doing exactly what Amma can't do. Amma cannot create for itself things that it do not want. It can only create things it wants. Perfectly. A perfect being can only do perfect things all the time. So it has to create something that is designed to be imperfect. And so it'll design a perfect, imperfect thing. I know, family, it's, but this is deep stuff, family. This is stuff that when you're bogged down in Bible and BS, you can't even get your head around this kind of stuff. And that's what that Bible is designed to do, to keep you bogged down. And it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing in reality. It's not, because there is no good and there's no bad from Amma's perspective. It just is. It's the flesh created that, and the flesh is imperfect. So the flesh is going to create imperfect documents like their Bible, which is an imperfect document by design. So that's why I'm saying you don't murder them, you don't kill them, because if it were not for that imperfect Bible, we would not be able to enjoy this journey of discovering what we really are and the true powers that we have. Now we get to discover it, awaken to it. Now we have to validate it, and then we got to begin to inculcate it into our everyday activities and our meditations, and now function as Eckhart Tolle teaches us to identify with that perfectness that we actually are, that we can only see because it's juxtaposed against imperfection. against their Bible that is full of lies and misdirection and nonsense. And because of that nonsense and misdirection, you can see what the real truth is. So you have to have balance. Their negativity and their weakness and their intentional training and indoctrination to make people helpless, weak, and dependent on something outside of itself. See, because of that whole effort, now we can, when you realize what you really are, you can see the difference. Now you know you're an infinite being, and you prove it to yourself every night when you go to sleep, because your body's out of it, and yet you don't even need rest. Your body needs rest, not you. See? And you can't experience any pain, love, or any of that stuff until you're in this body or in your dream, believing that you're in your body. And then you're remembering that it has these feelings and these senses. Because otherwise, if you didn't do that in and of yourself, you're not capable of experiencing fear, doubt, weakness, pain, none of that. Sadness, love, ecstasy, and all, none of that. We're not capable of doing that. It is only when we're in this flesh form and we're on that coin, we're half of that coin that is directly connected and smashed up against this human form, this human form here, folks. So when I say it's a dumb brute, I'm just telling you what it is. But that doesn't mean it doesn't serve a purpose. It serves a very vital purpose, because you're a perfect being having a human experience in this human form. Okay? So all of these creating things which we do not want, that comes from this human form. And you need to create things that you do not want so you can get away from this perfection thing. See, Amma wants to get away from being perfect. Amma wants to experience things that it do not want. It wants to be able to make mistakes. Amma can't make mistakes otherwise until it's in this human form. I hope I can get you to comprehend the value of this realization, family. This is skull-splitting, and it will completely destroy the helplessness and the weakness of their Bible. Because now you know you are a perfect being. You're so perfect, you had to create an imperfect flesh form just so you can experience imperfection. That's how perfect you are. You weren't capable of experiencing imperfection without this human form here. Please, I hope you can get your head around this, because that there is there's a domino effect from that realization and that identification with that reality, okay, of what you are and your capacity as a perfect being. See, that now allows you to kind of relax and not get too twisted over things that are going wrong, because otherwise you would never be able to experience these things. Talk about an aha moment. That's the reason why I'm doing this video, family. Okay, now let's move on. Let's dig into this thing. Let's get into what Erin is expressing here that gives more validation. Because look what it says here, next line. If I limited humans, the human form. Notice he said humans, not spiritual beings, humans, to only being able to create what you would call goodness, you would not be me. Because Amma says that Amma cannot do good or bad. Amma can only do all at once, everything. Amma's not capable of doing distinguish and doing separation. Amma can't do, is not capable of that. Amma is everything all the time at the same time, all the time. Get your head around that. Not capable of doing only one thing and not the other. So when Amma created the human, it created the human to do both. Because Amma's not capable of creating something that can only do one. Not capable of doing that. See, we're so busy thinking about Amma's omniscience and knowing everything and omnipresent, being everywhere at the same time, and the power to create whatever it wants. You never thought about the fact that Amma could create limitation. Amma can't create it. Amma has to create something else that can create it by mistake. See, Amma can't do it. And that's why Amma said, don't look at me. He said, you did that. Amma said, no, you did that. Don't put that shit on me because I can't do limited. Your flesh form, not when he said you, it not mean you, the micro being. It means the flesh form that Amma put you in now gives you the capacity to experience limitation. And it's still not you doing it. It's the flesh form that it created, whose function is to be imperfect. This is heavy stuff, family. This is heavy revelations. I want you to get your heads around this, okay? So, look what it says here. So if I limit him, so Amma did not limit us. Amma set it up so the human form could limit itself. Or in its interaction with the micro being, which is an unlimited being, and that memory has been wiped. Your memory has been wiped when you incarnated into this human form. Okay, so because your memory is been wiped, the human form gets a chance to dominate and create imperfection, because it's an imperfect temporary being, and it's designed to be the opposite of the infinite perfect being, which is an aspect of Amma. My concept, okay? So look what it says here. I have given humans, it didn't say micro beings, okay? I have given humans a gift. What is this gift? The gift is an opportunity to learn. Why? Because once you enter the human form, you forget. And because you have forgotten, now you have to be taught. And in order for you to get what you're taught, you have to learn. So that's why Amma says, I have given you a gift, the human form, a gift, an opportunity to learn, an opportunity to grow, an opportunity to find themselves. There it is. Your memory has been wiped as a micro being. So this is where Erin reveals that he hasn't made the distinction between the micro being and the human form. Because Erin is saying, it's trying to speak for God and saying that God gave humans? No. God didn't give humans anything. God gave everything to the micro being. The human was created with all of these flaws built into it because it's a finite being with an instinctive intelligence in it, running it, full of mistakes and flaws. But the spiritual being that was put into that human form is perfect. See? So when Amma says, I have given the human, In other words, yes, the human has been designed to project the experience of learning to who? The human doesn't learn by itself. The human can't even exist by itself because it only exists because there is a being inside of it, providing the power that allows it to live. Because once the spirit leaves, the body dies. So the human that he's talking about here is actually the micro being that is within the human form. So the entity is really saying two things here. I have given the human, in other words, I've given the micro being a human form that allows the micro being to experience through the human form opportunities to learn, because your memory is wiped, right? To grow, because your human form grows through stages. Now that's a growth process that's given to the human form as well as to the micro being, because you have to be reminded what you are. So through this whole 100-year cycle, within this life cycle of this human form, you get to remember, and that's growth. Growth and learning is the same thing to me, okay? But here's the key thing. You have an opportunity to find yourself. That means to be reawakened and remember that you are an infinite, perfect being having a human experience. Yourself that it's talking about, that's your infinite spiritual being. That's the your it's talking about. Because remember, Amma said the human form is not real because it's temporary. So it says you got to find yourself, find themselves. Human form don't find nothing. The spiritual being finds itself. That's the correction I have to give here. And to love each other, or to experience love itself. See? So family, I can't say this enough, how powerful this statement is when it's interpreted properly. The domino, or the feedback from this comprehension is so enlightening, and so it empowers you more, and it validates more your infiniteness and that you cannot die. And it gives you a totally paradigm shift in your perspective on and the value you have of this life and this human form, and with all of its flaws. Now you can value the flaws where you would try to run away from them based on their Bible. You would try to run away from these flaws and, I don't want to be bothered with this. No, you will value it now. You still overcome it. And it's easier for you to overcome now because you know it's not really real. Okay? So it's much easier for you to overcome, because you know it's not you. It's something that you're experiencing, and it's just a matter of you putting the right vision in your mind repeatedly and putting in the emotions, and it'll be gone. Simple as that. And you're awakened to this power and authority that you have now. And now all you got to do is just validate it to yourself. Build the muscle, because it's like a muscle you haven't been using. So now you got to exercise this muscle by repeatedly trying it over and over and over again until it starts to work. And it will work, because that's what you are. You were born with this capacity, okay? So now, and to love each other, okay? And Amma says, you are awed by my creation, the creations you call nature, but nature was created with the greatest of ease, because I have complete knowing of myself and my creative abilities. What Amma is not telling you is I am incapable of not having complete knowing of myself. What Amma's not telling you is I could never not know this. I could never not have complete knowingness. I'm stuck always having this knowingness. And what Amma's not saying is that's why it created you, the micro being, and put you into a human form and created the whole process of you being incarnated into a human form and at inception, right? And your memory being wiped of what you are and who you are, of what you are. Your who as a micro being, but your who really comes with your human form. But you also have a metaphysical who, which is the micro being that you are. Okay? Which is Amma, but in a micro nanite form. And your memory is wiped when you get into this human form. Amma created that whole process. Okay? But Amma is incapable of forgetting what it is, knowing of itself, and its creative capability. It is incapable of ever forgetting that. It is incapable of doing that. That's why it created us. And that's why in the next line, look what Amma says. I am awed by human creations because you are creating solutions to problems. Check this out. So check out what Amma says. I do not have. And Amma don't mean do not. Amma mean cannot. You create solutions, and see by the statement, you get focused on creating solutions. No. Amma could never create a problem. Can't. It's not capable of that. That's what you got to understand, folks, and value and appreciate what we are. We are for the micro being in a human form creates something that Amma is not capable of being or experiencing, and that is problems. Amma is not capable of experiencing problems. Don't exist for a perfect being. And that's why as perfect beings, infinite perfect beings that we are slightly different because we can forget. We can be put into a human form and forget that we are Amma. We are Amma. We are micro gods. And we have to rediscover it over and over and over again. And this process is never going to end, family. That's why I say we can never die. We can never die. And we will always be reincarnated into another human form. And the memory will be wiped from all the family and all this stuff and all these things that we've created in these environments as deep and complex as it is. It's all going to get wiped in the next life, and you will have no memory of this existence. And when you came into this life, try to think back, and you have no memory of anything prior to your being born, reincarnated. You don't even have no memory of you being in the womb, most people. Most people don't have any memory of the process of being born. You don't remember that. You just remember at some point, you remember tasting a bottle, beginning to have smells, experiencing smells, because prior to that, that's what I said. When you're in a perfect, infinite form, you have no feelings, you have no emotions, you have no nothing. And that's why when you look at a baby, you see that the baby is just waking up. And the baby don't know nothing. That's because the memory has been wiped, because it's attached to a brain that has not developed. See, that whole, you got to be fascinated by the fact that Amma created this. Only a perfect being can create a perfect scenario like this that is perfectly balanced to include flaws, ignorance, doubt, weakness, helplessness, the illusion of death, and life itself. All of these things are created an illusion. They don't exist. For perfect beings, they don't exist. You gotta understand this, family. This is what it means to be self-awakened. And now to be self-actualized is to know this and function out of it and exercise your authority that you now have awakened to what you are and what you can do. See, that's actualization, is what you can do with what you are aware of. Okay, that's the lesson of this movie, family. That's the lesson of this movie. All right. And I had to go over this part and bring this out and just show you that how Amma says, I am awed by human creations because you are creating, or it should say you are able to create solutions because you can experience problems. And problems is something Amma cannot have. Gotta understand that, family. Amma can't have problems. Don't even know what you're talking about. That's why when it is, the fact that Amma is looking is, again, that's a misnomer. Amma's not watching. That's just an expression of lesson learned, but there's nothing real about this statement that I am awed. Bullshit. Amma cannot be awed. I don't believe that at all. No. That's the micro being realizing that Amma is incapable of this. And the micro being that's within her is saying this. And I don't know, I think it's a kind of a little bit of poetic license that they're taking, but Amma cannot be awed. That's an emotion that Amma can't have. Not possible. See, so right away, see, when you fully understand Amma and you understand perfection, you see all of the misspeaks and everything that's happening in here, which is okay. It's okay, family. We ain't gonna get bogged down in that. I am too busy being in awe myself of the awakening and realization of what I'm experiencing here. And I am so empowered. I am so relieved that I'm absolutely in awe of the experience, the realization of this it's so much that floods into my mind, my human form mind, that helps me to value, family, all of this structure that Amma has created, and that even Amma cannot even experience like we experience because we're in this human form. See, that's the gift here, is to become aware of that. And that, family, is what this is all about. And I hope this has been fruitful and informative, and I hope I've been able to put a little more meat on the bones for you so that you can hopefully watch this video and think back for yourself and read the book that the sister has created. I'm going to put it over here on the side so actually I'll put it on this side because I want to have this book stand out. It's so next level, okay? And I hope I've been able to give you some interpretations and of the what she has written here, and that it is helpful and informative and helps you to become more self-aware and self-actualized and begin to build on this knowledge and wisdom that I'm imparting to you. Okay, family? One love, and I'll hopefully see you in the next movie. And I hope we'll be able to go and touch base on another book. But if I find more revelations that come to mind in my meditations and whatnot, I'm going to pass it on to you. Okay, family? One love. See you in the next video.